All right, greetings, everyone. We are live again. Dynasty Mirror Search for Guru. Everyone, thank you. Thank you so much for joining. Let me just straighten this up real quick. Again, everyone, thank you so much for joining. Do me a favor, hit that like button again, please. Hit that like button. Also, make sure you share, make sure you subscribe. And guys, make sure you go purchase the new documentary. Again, I need everyone who's watching this, go and purchase the documentary. Go to searchforahuru.com. Again, go to searchforahuru.com or visit documentary.searchforahuru.com and buy the documentary. I greatly appreciate it. Again, I want everyone who is watching this to go and buy and support the documentary. Again, searchforahuru.com. And again, I need everyone who has watched. Shout out to Marie in the chat room. She bought the documentary. She sent me a very nice, beautiful, heartfelt note this morning in regards to the documentary. So I appreciate the support. And then shout out to Yana as well, who's also purchased the documentary. Again, if you're watching this, I need you to go and buy the documentary. Shout out to Miss. She was just on, but she logged off. I guess she's coming back. Miss Carrie, who bought the documentary as well. So I appreciate the support. Also, tours coming up. We got a couple of tours coming up. We are rolling to Sierra Leone, November 20th through December 3rd. Sierra Leone, November 20th through December 3rd. So, and citizenship is available to those who qualify. Again, citizenship is available to those who qualify. So if you are interested in enrolling to Sierra Leone, if you are eligible for citizenship, meaning you have your African ancestry DNA results that point back to Sierra Leone, do me a favor, go to danfo.africa, danfo.africa, and hit me up. We'll love to have you. And then as far as the gear, people are always asking, Dynasty, where do you get the gear from? Where do you get the gear from? Guys, visit ileamir.com to grab your gear. That's ILEAMIR to grab your gear, guys. I greatly appreciate it. Thank you all for the support. It really means a lot. Again, it really means a lot. Shout out to everybody in the chat room. And do me a favor, guys. Again, hit that like button. Again, please do me a favor and hit that like button. So today's topic, we're going to be discussing, I wonder what the correct term would be. Here we go. Diaspora and continental relationships as a means to building that bridge. So we got Dr. Mark Echols on and our sister Saye Carrie on with us today, and that's the topic. And shout out to Fabian in the chat room who's coming to Nigeria with us next week. We leave next Monday. To Nigeria. And Fabian, he says if your reason for marriage is bridging the gap, I don't think that's enough to sustain a marriage. You better think long and hard before making that move with anyone. So go ahead and introduce yourself, Mr. Dr. Echols and Ms. Carrie, and then we'll respond to brother Fabian's question.
Okay, so I'll go ahead. Before I introduce myself, I first wanted to acknowledge and thank Prince Dynasty for being on this platform. As I just said to her, I've been following him for a minute, so I am honored to be here. I also wanted to thank my sister, Saye Carrie, for extending the invite. This is a young lady that I have known for about 2 or 3 years, worked together. She's a fantastic ambassador for Pan-Africanism and bridging the gaps between Africa and the diaspora. Very proud of her work. So for who I am, my name is Dr. Mark Echols, also go by Dr. Mark. I am author of the book African Diaspora Relationships. That is the first comprehensive exploration of what it's like to be a Black person in a relationship with another Black or African person from a different country. I'm also the creator of the Facebook group, African Diaspora Relationships, this group of the same name, discussing relationships between Africans, African American, Caribbean, Afro-Latino since 2009. I also created a group, similar group, in 2005. I've been writing about, discussing, talking about intercultural relationships between Black people from different countries for the past 20 years. So I've been on the subject for a long time. It's one of my favorite things to talk about. Thank you for having me.
I'll go ahead and mute yourself, Ms. Carey.
Good day, everyone. I'm Saye Carey. I'm also an author, and I'm an author of Hidden Commonalities, Identifying Cultural Similarities Among Africans and African Descendants.
I was going to say, show your book. Show your book if you got your book with you. Yeah, there you go. Perfect. Okay.
Along with, I'm an a second book, Unraveling the Story of Black African Hair. Yes, and my first book publication was in 2017, and the second one was in 2021. And I've always had this passion for the diaspora as well as Pan-Africanism, based on my cultural background and my upbringing, along with the areas that I've lived in the Northeast. So it's just been something that's, just been a passion for me, along with having parents who are Pan-Africanists as well, and they believe in bridging the gap between Africans and African descendants.
Okay. All right. So to address Fabian's question, statement. I'm sorry, his statement. Let me read it again. Dr. Echols, if your reason for marriage is bridging the gap, I don't think that's enough to sustain a marriage. You better think long and hard before making that move with anyone. How would you respond to that, Dr.
Okay, that's an excellent point to begin this discussion. Quite frankly, I absolutely agree with that assessment. The point of these relationships is not to enter it to bridge the gap. That is a natural byproduct of being in these relationships and being in these relationships successfully. So, again, I've been discussing these relationships. I've personally been in these relationships for over 20 years. So one thing that I know about the African diaspora relationships is that this is not new, although the topic is something that has gained popularity recently. These relationships have been naturally occurring. They've been having African diaspora relationships for as long as there's been an African diaspora. Some of the earliest relationships could be pointed back to some of Sister Saye's ancestors. You could see it in Liberia. You could see it in places like Sierra Leone, where you had African Americans, when you had Afro-Caribbean, Afro-British returning to those countries and naturally entering the relationships with the people there. You could see them in the U.S. Traced back at least as early as the late 1900s with African Americans and Caribbean immigrants in places like New York, in places like Boston. Even one of our greatest ancestors, Malcolm X, was a product of African diaspora relationship with an African American father and a Caribbean mother. So these relationships have been occurring, and you see them when you have significant numbers of foreign-born blacks mixing and residing among native or pre-existing black populations. The relationships happen organically. So they're not new. It's just something that has been increasing. When you have an increase in us intermingling with each other, we naturally start to build relationships. We work together. We go to school together. We talk together, and relationships are the organic result of that.
Ms. Carey, if you want to add to that.
Yes, like what Dr. Mark was saying, African diasporan relationships and marriages has been around for a long time. And I know, like what Fabian has stated in the chat, it also takes in order to be in those kind of marriages or relationships, it also takes for you to be culturally competent, like being open to experience that person's culture along with them experiencing your culture as well.
Okay. What about polygamy? Since we're talking about these diaspora continental relationships, Dr. Echols, what are your thoughts on polygamy?
That's an interesting question. Obviously, that's a potential that's a potentially controversial question. It really, how I've approached African diaspora relationships, and my advice to people who are interested in these type of relationships is that you have to, number one, be familiar with the culture, but also you have to go into these cultures with an awareness and an expectation of you should not enter dynamics that you're not comfortable with in your own culture. So if in your own culture you practice polygamy or poly relationships, and I do know that's increasing in popularity here, then you could go to Africa in cultures where that's accepted, and you probably will blend in well. If that's not a dynamic that you're used to here, that might be a bigger challenge there. You also have to gauge the reception of the people that you are looking to go to. I know that that's particularly popular with with some African American men that are interested in being in polygamous relationships in Africa. Speaking with a lot of African women, many of them are not interested in continuing that dynamic. So you have to be aware of that as well. You have to seek that with women, including African women that are open to that. So, I mean, it really depends on everything with African diaspora relationships, doing your research and acclimating to that culture.
Ms. Carey, if your husband came home and said, I want another wife, what would be your response? Would you be open to it?
My goodness. No, I wouldn't be open to that because I'm not accustomed to that. Although, like, yeah, I come from a cultural background where it has been practiced back in time or whatnot, but it's just there's something that we getting into a relationship with my husband, we're dating, courting, and before we got married, that wasn't the topic. That wasn't something that was supposed to be a part of our union. So if he comes back 7 years later stating, "Oh, I want us to be in a polygamous marriage," I'll say no.
Dr. Echols, I'm noticing a uptick in regards to women here in America finding love in Africa. Well, in quotation marks, but love in Africa, specifically Nigeria, online via Facebook. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, my thoughts on that is I have a couple of thoughts on that, so I'll try to break that down. Number one, there's been an uptick in African diaspora relationships. The interest has increased, period, and I attribute that to number one, there's been an increase in travel to Africa. There's been an increase in attention on social media. And for that, I actually have to give credit to you, Prince Dinas Amir, Search for Uhuru. Brothers like yourself Brothers like O'Shea Jackson with Kinganda, uh, uh, Bode Maya. No, brother Anthony McDonald with Living Bicontinental. Is an African American brother that is married to a woman from Uganda, and they split half of the year in Uganda, half of the year in America. I believe he's been on your show before. There's another brother, Yazid Muhammad, with Real Repatriation Consultants, a brother who has been in Ghana for over 10 years and is married to a Ghanaian woman, and talks about his experiences. So all you brothers have these channels. You've been traveling. You have been documenting your experiences. You've been discussing relationships with the people there. We're seeing, absolutely stunningly gorgeous women. You're seeing handsome men. You're seeing how they're welcoming towards you. So this is changing the mindsets. This is changing the mindsets of people. They're open to traveling, and they're open to these type of experiences. So in one respect, I think that's been a major part in this increased interest. In addition to that, it's an interest because a lot of us are searching for something that we feel is better and matches our what we're looking for in a partner, and that's a natural aspect of African diaspora relationships as well. There's Facebook groups where people talk about what it's like to be with African or someone Caribbean or someone else in the African diaspora, and you have these sharing of ideas. You have this being promoted. So that's why you see the increase interest. What it is about Nigeria, I can't say specifically about Nigeria, but this is one of the countries that African Americans are very familiar with. Nigeria and Ghana. There are some women that speak well of Nigerian and Nigerian men. As a matter of fact, I remember I'm aware of one channel, this woman, Nigerian Lifestyle, if I remember correctly. So, all of that is going to attract interest there. We tend to be a show and prove people. So, when you have somebody speaking positively about something and say, hey, you need to check this out, people are going to see for themselves.
Guys, do me a favor, hit the like button. Somebody brought up let me read this comment real quick by Jesse. Most African women make less than $200 a month. I mean, there's some truth to that. So what African American man wouldn't be able to support $200 a month per wife? Get real. I'm guessing it's in regards to the polygamy question, because the cost of living is substantially lower in the majority of African countries versus here. So I'm guessing that's what Jesse is referring to. Let's see here. Oh, Miss Carrie, I've noticed this too, Miss Carrie. So here in America, a lot of sisters have very high standards for men when it comes to job, resources, and the type of money they bring home. But I notice some sisters, once they get to Africa, they don't have those same standards. Do you? What are your thoughts on that? As far as the amount of money they should be bringing in and living standards and whatnot.
Regarding that, I can only speak for myself and what the expectations were, and like growing up, what my parents expected me, like in regards to choosing a mate or whatnot. And I know some of those qualities would be somebody who can protect me, who can provide or whatnot, somebody who's there. And it personally, it doesn't matter how much the man makes, as long as he can provide for the family. And then I'm big on somebody who also has morals and who was is concerned about their spiritual, mental well-being.
Guys, what we're gonna do here in about 10 minutes, we're gonna open up the lines. If you guys want to call in and add to the chat, you can call in and add to the chat. Do me a favor, hit the like button again, please. Hit that like button again. Please hit the like button as you come to the chat if you haven't. And then listen, links in the chat room if you want to call in. And you can go ahead and click on the link and call in. Dr. Echols, where's your wife from?
My wife is from Barbados. It's my second marriage. I was married to an African woman before. Uh, uh, Between the two marriages come my four children. So I have explored African diaspora relationships literally for almost every dynamic of it.
And Miss Carey, your husband, is he Liberian or is he Black American?
He's from Haiti.
Okay, he's Haitian. How's that dynamic been?
From what I observed, Haitian and Liberian culture is very similar. The only difference, they speak Haitian French-based Creole, and Liberians, we speak English-based Creole, and then we have our 16 indigenous languages. And I know I can see the correlation with their history and the Liberians' history as well. So that is a connection there. And even going to that, in the 1950s, there were Haitians who migrated to Liberia.
Pan African capitalist. Go ahead.
Okay, what's going on, bro? I didn't expect to get let on so early. But shout out to the panel. Shout out to you, man. So look, man, everybody that goes to Africa doesn't want to be polygamous, right? Just like, every woman in Africa is not gonna be open to polygamy. It depends on the country and the cultures. Some cultures are more polygamous than others. Like if you go to Ethiopia, it's gonna be a lot women in Ethiopia are going to be a lot less open to polygamy than a woman in, say, Ghana or Gambia or Senegal or, South Africa. So it's all, at the end of the day, it's all about, consenting adults choosing what type of family structures they want to have. A lot of African women, they look for a guy with good character and a guy that can provide. And when you look at most of these countries, you know, most of the women make less than $200 a month. Like my specific situation is that I am polygamous, and I will be married next year. And my girlfriends have jobs at the moment; they'll be working for me starting next year in my business that I have. But the current jobs they have, they make under $100 a month. So for people to say that, oh well, most African American men don't have the the money to take care of all these women is bullcrap. When you look at, I mean, almost every country, almost every other country in the world, you can go and it's going to be a cheaper cost of living. Your money is going to be a lot further in those countries, whether it's Africa, South America, Central America, whatever. Unless you're going to the UAE or like parts of Europe, your money is going to be a lot further in those countries.
Shabak, go ahead, Shabaka House. Go ahead. Unmute yourself.
Hey, how you doing? Uh, my father. I'm on the line. Yeah, go ahead. I'm talking on the line. My father and most of my family are polygamous, but they don't have to be. But I know that my father married all types of women, but even American women, but everybody had a different type of background, and even the women marry Africans. But what I noticed is, and it took me a minute for this to click because you don't notice these things growing up. Like I have brothers where their mother may came from Martinique. My youngest siblings, they got a Ghanaian mom. But I noticed it was a communication thing. And when you mention marrying the Nigerians, because we in the family, it's like we marry the same Nigerian family like over and over again, different ones. Not just them, but just other ones. And they use paper and contract. And what I had an issue is, and I'm a single woman, I'm not married yet. There was a difference in communication. Like if I talked to an American person, like a lot of them was like not taken serious, like a joke, or I don't want to do that. And then as far as the money thing, that wasn't so much of the issue, but there was finance exchange, but they agreed upon it. Like, I don't know. I haven't like found regular Americans that would do this only through family. You see what I'm saying? So I hear you guys talking about it, but I never seen people do it except for like on YouTube. But in my personal thing, only through family. Like, so I asked my father to do arranged marriage. My parents was arranged, and there's 5 wives between. My father's passed. He passed about a year ago, and like you if they're not already into it or doing it, it's hard to get an American person to even think about something like this, regardless of the cost. Because my conclusion was is that most people don't date to get married; they're dating to get laid, and I mean that's just what I my observation was because through my when because what happened was I had wanted my dad to give me arranged marriage because he know when he was living he knows men, spiritual men, he knows good and bad and having discernment, but I still wanted to try to date American men. Like I wanted him to find me a husband and still do the courtship, but I wanted to try to find my own as well. Because when you got feelings, like I'm an American woman too. Like I was born in California, so I was like, if I find my own and I can get them to do it that way, but that was not possible. The only thing that was possible was a Nigerian who had married American women was the only one who was willing to go through that, and other Africans. But the average person, like you can't, I mean, I don't know, some people might be able to do it, but you can't meet a modern man and be like, hey, come and do this unless he's already doing it. Like, I really wish that we could be on board and bridge that gap. But in my experience, I haven't seen too much of that. They're usually like, it's weird. It's, like what your mama gonna tell me what to do? Like, or what your dad gonna tell me what to do? Like, I think you have to be really open-minded to do that. But I don't normally see conversation like this happening. But I like it,
Hey, hey, Shabaka, what are your thoughts on the what are your thoughts on the comment? Let's be honest, in America, most women are sharing a man whether they are honest about it or not. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, yes, that's the truth because sometimes you want to just pretend like you're getting what you're getting and you don't know about it. But I really don't agree with that because it'll mess up the families. So even if you is sharing a man, that makes relationship tension anyway. Even in polygamous family, if you don't say what's going on, it's this sneaky thing like I'm better than you better than him. So that causes drama. So they are doing that. And it would be better to be open about it versus keeping it secret. That's what I think about that.
Hey, Dr. Echols, I think you wanted to add to that. I had to mute you because there was some background noise on your end, but let me.
Oh, no problem.
Go ahead.
So first, I want to say to Sister Shabaka, first, condolences on the recent passing of your father, and to address both you and brother Pan African capitalist. Thank you for your contribution as well. Okay, pretty much from my perspective, with African diaspora relationships from the beginning, my perspective was just to make us as a people aware of our options and how diverse the African diaspora is. We're the most diverse people on the planet. There's roughly 47 million blacks in the U.S. There's an additional 120 million blacks in the diaspora. Includes Canada. That includes South and Central America. That includes countries in Europe, the UK, France. There's over a billion people in Africa. There's over 3,000 different tribes in Africa. There's over 25 countries in the Caribbean. We all have different cultures, different practices. So when it comes to polygamy, the one thing I caution with polygamy and African diaspora relationships is, of course, practice within African cultures, but it is a portion. So not every ethnic group practices polygamy. Many do. The beauty about these relationships is that you can gravitate towards what attracts you, and at the end of the day, these are relationships and relationship dynamics that we originally come from. That's why I think it's so beautiful about these relationships. And going back to the first question asked, that's why I also believe that connecting the diaspora through these type of relationships is not a goal you go into enter it, but it's a natural byproduct of it. So whether you're into polygamy, whether you're not into polygamy, I'm not polygamous. I am devoted to my wife. But whether you're into it, whether you're not, it's all part of the diversity of the diaspora. So if you're interested in these type of relationships, go to the culture that attracts you.
You want to respond to that, Shabaka House, or not? I pass it to Elijah. You got to unmute yourself. Unmute yourself.
I do,
Unmute yourself.
and Elijah. Okay, I do. Elijah can go too. And sometimes it don't have to be about sex. I mean, my pop, he was a really religious man and spiritual, so but he felt like the more the merrier. And so I saw the benefits of certain type of polygamy, but then it's also disadvantage, because like growing up, if you got like five moms and they all speaking a different language, like it's natural to me to be cross cultured because of the dynamic my family put together, but everybody's not like that. And I grew up not knowing that all blacks wasn't the same, which is very difficult. But as far as tribal things goes, that's how they would. And me personally would prefer a more polygamous relationship, sex or not. But I grew up knowing they have like a compound, what you call it, community type ideation, so that's easier for me. But as far as community, but we practice individualism in America for the most part. So that's like, okay, yes or no. But then each say take polygamy off the table, there's this financial thing. Let me go to that part too. Because when I was on the search for a husband, and I hate to bring all my stuff in, but it's kind of like not a coincidence, but it's spirit
No, no, no.
led
Go ahead.
because
Go ahead. Go
I
ahead.
remember
We need to
talking
hear.
Dynast. This
We
is
need to hear.
the
We need to hear
second
personal
time I got on your
experience.
show, and I remember the Jamaican. Yeah. When I went to Jamaica, I was looking for, I didn't just go to look for a husband, but I wanted to explore my family lineage and like find different things because I also got lineage in Ghana, Nigeria, and I'm exploring. The Jamaicans were like, we like giving women money. They like, we like giving women money and this and that. But when I have conversation, I remember you, Diamonds, you was like, what you mean men don't want to give you no money? And then it started going left. So it was hard to have relationship comments. And I'm speaking about this because I remember having a conversation with you, it was brief, and you were speaking about, I believe it was like, how can men deal with women who got that they was talking about anxiety, depression, or something like that. And then I said something about, well, men don't want to give us money, but what I was speaking about was how they reacted to the money conversation. They was getting upset, like, what you mean we need to do money? But I didn't mean it like that, but I didn't know how to explain the exchange, because with our families, either they is going to give some money but also Me Too or some kind of exchange. Like the marital contracts between our families and the Nigerians, I would love to show those because they're actually written down. But I've noticed, like with Americans, some of them would get mad, like, "What is that? What is that?" And I just would assume, okay, you're not being serious. This not the life for you, because they're not no emotions in like the dynamic of it. Because we let a white judge tell us how.
So Tabaka,
Um,
was it like a prenup? Was it a prenup kind of from the
Maybe
Nigerian
like an
family?
agreement. Yeah, maybe like agreement and exchange. Like there everything from sexual, from monetary, everything was in there. Like monetary exchange, sexual, family stuff. The Ghanaians, my youngest sibling's mom is Ghanaian, they practice a dowry, and they even had an agreement with that. So my point is saying that the communication and presenting anything like this, whether it was polygamy or not, was difficult as a modern woman to. And I'm a mix. Not only I got modern woman experiences, but a very traditional background. So it was hard to mix in your personal desire with what your family wanted to do. It was kind of like I had to go only on one side. I couldn't try to date men on my own and be like, hey, could you meet my pop? Or just go with who he knew was already in that lifestyle. You see what I'm saying? Because of the miscommunication. And I'm talking to you because I remember talking to you a little bit, and you was like, what you mean men don't want to give you no money? And, and I didn't mean I just wanted men to give me money. It just the journey and the search in the African way of marriage. They said we Jamaicans are better to get married because we like giving women money. And so now from my eyes now I can see that may have been like a competition thing, but I had that in my head on the first experience. But I think my pop wanted me to marry Jamaican because they already had people set up, but they're like, we like to give women that. You see? My point is that the American modern man was getting upset with even the idea of being told, for family members knowing about the relationship, anything of money, like, why you want my money? Like that. They didn't think of a fair exchange. Like I could never even finish the conversation. It just like, you want some of my money, you don't want the white man money. And I'm like, okay, it's not like that. I mean, you didn't say all of that. I'm remembering it. You remember that?
Oh man.
But what I'm trying to say is it just was, unless we're like this, which is the second time I've ever seen uh us fully talk about this with people like us. This is the second time I've ever seen it. Um it doesn't happen on a normal basis. And then you have that taboos, like there's a social media taboo. They're all afraid of it. I was too at one point. Now I'm more comfortable. But I noticed even you don't have social media, you can have it, somebody doing it for you. And quite a few women that's African are sheltered. I was raised to be subservient to men, but being a modern woman and modern men, that's not a good thing. See, I didn't get
Let's see.
no agreement or not agreement, but
No, no,
I'm
no, no,
saying
no.
when it
Why,
comes
why,
to
why, why, why is it not a good thing to be subservient?
not a good thing in its totality. I'm going to just say 50-50 because more than one thing could be true at a time, but that can get you to, you want to be subservient to a not good man or people playing games. We have to be honest. People are not trying to get married like that. So they're going to see a woman that has that type of attitude. Most of the time is some kind of abusive thing can go on in there if her parents don't have their back. But I noticed modern men didn't want my parents to have my back. They don't even want them to find out. So getting through that area, yeah,
Okay.
All right.
All right. We'll go ahead. Let's pass it to Elijah. Then I think Pan African Capitalist. You wanted to add a comment, but go ahead, Elijah.
Peace and blessings to the panel. I think can you hear me okay?
Yes, go ahead.
I think the question was, can marriage bridge the gap between Black Americans and the diaspora? Is that correct?
Yes, Elijah. Yes.
Yes, sir. No, marriage cannot bridge the gap between the diaspora and Black Americans, because marriage is simply a byproduct, and it's a byproduct of culture. And the problems that we have are culture. And what we have to do in order to solve our problem is we have to define a culture and agree. We have to unite upon a defined culture, because as a people in the diaspora, we're divided and conquered. And the only reason we're divided and conquered is because we have not agreed upon a culture that we could unite on. So no, marriage will not do that. And that's why we have a 95% divorce rate in America. And like the sister just got through talking about, um, the modern Black female is uncomfortable in submitting to males in America, because the institution of marriage and the Black relationship has been completely destroyed in America by racism. And charity begins, God tells us that charity begins at home and then spreads abroad. And that disease also exists in Africa. Good relationships are hard to come by and hard to find in Africa as well. So first we have to define a culture that we can unite under as an umbrella, before we can have successful marriages and successful relationships. And culture, go ahead.
No, Pan African Capitalist. You wanted to add something?
Yeah, I was just gonna comment on what the sister Shabaka said. So sounds like what you were dealing with were differences in culture, right? And I think that the reason that the diaspora can bridge the gap by forming relationships, primarily marriages, with Africans is because they're able to kind of integrate into different cultures. The issue, somebody has an echo. Thank Baba.
Missy Barr, you gotta turn off the playback.
Okay.
Hold on, let me.
Okay.
Okay, all right, go ahead, Pan African Capitalist.
Yeah, so the one thing that I always talk about, right, is that Black Americans in particular is that we have a unique culture from everybody else in the world, right? If you really study our culture from slavery time, our culture has always been a woman-led culture. And so you did have minorities of homes where the men were the leaders in the house, because you did have free people that weren't slaves during slavery. You did have families where Big Mama wasn't in charge of the family, and so that's in direct conflict with most African cultures. Like there's a video going around from a sister in Ghana where it's like Black American women living in Ghana, and they're having all of these cultural clashes with the people in those communities. And so what I
You know
think
what?
is,
Hey, Pan African, let me stop you right there, because you brought up a great point, and I want to bring it to Dr. Echols and Miss Carey, and then I want to pose the question to the women. Sorry, Pan African Capitalist. All right, Dr. Echols. So, in fact, let me start off with Sister Carey. So, because I'm starting to notice. So, as Black men, wherever we go, outside of them, now we might complain about relationships here in America, but I notice when Black men, whether it be in Africa, Brazil, Central America, wherever, when they leave America and date out, they're not complaining. I'm starting to see a lot of sisters now who complain about the men in America and Pan African capitalism. I know what video you're talking about. They complain about the men in America, but now wherever they go, they're complaining about the men in these different countries as well. Why do you think that's? What's the cause of that? Do you think? Because, like I said, the black American men will complain about the women here in America, but when the men leave and start dating women, it doesn't matter where, they're not complaining. But I know there's a lot of sisters, they complain about the men here in America, but now when they go to Ghana, they complain about the Ghanaian men. Some are complaining about the Nigerian men. Some are now complaining about the white man. So what do you think it is? And we'll pass the Shabaka house when Carrie gets done.
Regarding that, again, you have to look for who you compliment or whatnot. So the black men who are going out of that who are going to the Caribbean or the African continent, Europe, to find black women, they probably have some type of what type of woman they're looking for. They know what they want, and then they can find those characteristics. Now, regarding black women in America complaining about the American men here, and then now they're complaining about the men in outside of in Africa or outside or whatnot. Maybe they're not finding what they want. It depends on which one, because there's no such thing as a perfect relationship or marriage. It depends on how everybody's not perfect. So if you're able to compromise and know okay, what will work or whatnot. So there's certain characteristics or something okay, this is different. I'm unaware of this, but I'm unaware of this, but I can stick by this man or whatnot. Or maybe if they're not in commonality, so that's why they start complaining. But they have to find out exactly what they want and how they can be in commonality with that person. And going back to everybody's experiences regarding the African diaspora relationship, as I stated before, I was born and raised in the United States. I'm first generation Liberian American. I was born in New York. So I was in an area where you see different types of people. You see Black people, but we all come from different cultural backgrounds. And my parents didn't say, oh, I need to be with this person and that person. I need to be strictly with a Liberian man. They already knew that since I'm here in the United States, I'm going to see different type of men or whatnot. And with they knew I was going to see Caribbean men, African American men, Liberian men, and other Ghanaian and so forth. And it was more so in my case, again, the man can respect me, loved me, who was loyal, had morals they could provide and protect. Also, and another thing for me was somebody who's culturally competent. Like we can learn about each other's cultures and embrace it.
Well, the reason,
Dr. Echols, go ahead. Well, hold on. Go ahead, Dr. Echols.
All right, let me want to unmute myself. Basically, I'm going to want to piggyback on some of the points that Sister Saye said. I believe that she was right on point. So these are not relationships that you enter into lightly. You have to do your due diligence. You have to learn about the culture. You have to be open-minded, and you have to look for people that you are compatible with. So in a nutshell, what she was describing is these successful relationships, and giving examples of the differences between those relationships that work and those relationships that don't. Many of the men that I know that have entered these type of relationships, including myself, has studied these cultures, open-minded to learning about these cultures, but also consistent in what we are looking for and what we're expecting in a partner. Again, what you're looking for in a partner should not change. Even if you're going outside of your culture, you're looking for people that complement you, that you share the same values, that you view family the same, that you have similar goals. and again, be open to learning from each other, open to uh, knowing their culture, and also having them respect the culture that you come from too. Cultural respect is a two-way street, and it needs to be a two-way street in order for these relationships to succeed. So some that go into it with this mindset, you'll see having more success than those who don't. In some respect, unfortunately, that can be the danger in this increased interest. There's so much increased interest that not everyone is prepared for some of the cultural differences that they may find.
May I answer the question?
Well, let me pass it to the. I want to hear it from the women first. So, Shabaka, go ahead, and Missy Barr, and then we'll pass it to you, Elijah. Or go ahead, Shabaka.
I mean,
You
I
muted yourself.
agree with the gentleman. It should be a two-way streak. I'm have to keep my focus. Can you hear me? Am I heard?
Yes, go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Mic check. Can y'all hear me? Okay, okay. It should be a two-way streak in respect of culture, and I'm here to say it's a lot of times it's not like that. When it goes back to what you said, Diamonds, about how some of the complaints and they come in here and complain, we got to look at the people. If a woman does not have like a family background, people who are going to be asking questions, they're all in the business, everybody got a part and a say so in a marriage, it's easy for her to integrate in an African marriage versus it's his family and she's going to kind of do what he says. But if she's not raised like that, his family should respect it, right? But I haven't seen that happen as much in the African family. Having the people in my family that happen, it's been like, okay, you're gonna find relations, it's mostly individual, my wife, my business. And um me having a full background, I'm trying to be respectful as possible, but the men don't want to be accountable to another man, another family. This is my family. So they may have a problem with me having that in my background or something like that. Regardless, I could be the most best woman in the world. I've seen they don't like that. But a woman that doesn't have that background, they're easier to migrate in. I haven't seen too many I've not seen American men marry African. In our dynamic, it's the women is vice versa, you know, and that's all I've seen, really. So it's usually not a two-way streak. I wish it was. Like, I wish that it was different, but when I was getting married, it's like, okay, these are the rules. You coming in the house at 9. You coming in, like, I was fully aware of what would happen if I marry into certain type of African family. But I can't tell a man you're gonna do this. I mean, I can, but usually he has not been mature enough to do that. It's like they already have it.
Can I
I
make a
haven't seen them
Your
respect
question.
American culture is what I'm trying to say.
Well,
Unless
your question.
All right,
like I
well,
haven't seen it
let,
happening.
go ahead, Elijah. Ask your question and pass it to Missy Barr. Go ahead, Elijah.
Your question was, why are black females from America complaining universally, whether it be at home or abroad? And they're complaining because they don't know the psychological trick that's been played on them. Our black females in America have been turned into men, and that was done in the late 60s. It was a plan by the government to reverse the nature of black people and make the black man a female and make the black female a male. And now she's the breadwinner. She goes to college, she's got the jobs, and her favorite saying, which has become her favorite prayer, is she don't need no man. And this is why she's complaining, because she's been turned into a man, and her nature has been reversed, like the slave master Willie Lynch had planned on doing. and she won't do what Michael Jackson asked her to do and look at the man in the mirror and examine herself and realize she's been turned into a man. And when she goes to college, they all say, I'm a strong, independent black woman. I don't need no man. Strong, independent black woman don't need no man. All you have to do is get on YouTube and look up Sherelle, her song. She's got a song where she says she don't need no, it's called Affair. So she's encouraging the sisters to go out and have an affair, and all the brothers on that video are in prison. And she repeats 100 times that she don't need no man. I don't need no man. I don't need no man. And that's where black females get that saying from. And by not needing a man, white men have turned her into a man. And so since her nature's been reversed, she cannot have a proper relationship with a man. And what is the result? We have a 95% divorce rate today. 95%. We are super mega failures at relationships because we haven't united, come together, and agreed upon a culture that we can fall under the umbrella on, whether we are in America or Africa or wherever we may be.
Can I just make a comment real quick, Dennis?
Yeah, real quick, 30 seconds. I'm gonna pass
Okay,
it.
so yeah, I just wanted to respond to Shabaka. So that was really my point. What you were saying, I agree with that, Shabaka, and that was my point for bringing up what I did. Right? If you look at most African American cultures, you know, the families, it's expected for either the woman to be the leader in the household, or it's expected to be a 50-50 partnership. But when you look at most of these tribes in Africa, it's more like a benevolent dictatorship, right? Where the man is the leader of the home. If you're marrying this man, you're expecting to submit and to accost yourself to his culture. It's not really a matter of a two-way street with a lot of African tribes. It's like, okay, you want to marry me? I'm Igbo, or I'm a Khan, Fanti. You're expected to come into my culture and allow me to be the leader. And that is where I think the conflict is coming from with black women dealing with other men, because they're used to having a 50-50.
But the women still have a say though too.
Yeah, they're used to having a 50-50 partnership, but they used to running everything. So there is no, it's more difficult to have that two-way street thing when when you're dealing with a guy from a very patriarchal culture, where the men are used to running everything and having a last final decision. But I'll go ahead and pass the mic.
All right, Missy Bar, go ahead, Missy Bar.
All right, blessing to everyone in the chat. Blessing to all original people wherever we are on the planet. This is a very important conversation. I pray that this type of conversation will continue to heal us as a people, right? That should be the goal. This is not the idea of the purpose of this conversation is not for us to go out there and sleep with everything we find. The purpose of it is to heal us as a people, to make us whole. And for Black American particularly, FBA, however how you call yourself these days, the original people, right? If you are going to heal, to become whole again, you're gonna have to mix with Africa. That's just it. Because your nature has been turned upside down, inside out, completely destroyed and diluted. What we are doing in the United States, what Black in American are doing in the United States is not working. What we're doing is not going to work. What it is going to work. No, now I realize, because I need to make something clear before we move on. I realize Black in America are asking for reparation for what happened to them. I'm not debating that. You deserve to get your reparation. I'm talking about to heal yourself as a man, to see yourself as a man, to look at how do you heal yourself. That is not to say that Black American who are the from the enslaved people originally should not marry together. But can you imagine what was done? Look at what these people did. They make a son slept with his mother, his sister, right?
Right.
They force a father to sleep with his daughter. The time motherfucker, right?
Right.
This thing is still psychologically there. Africa, that is not to say they didn't do it when they were colonizing us. They did. They can't help not to do it. They couldn't help themselves. That's how they get down, because that is their culture. For as long as you're still using those that rape your forefather template culture, it is not going to work. You understand? Now, I'm going to start with this. My mother's father married his first wife. His first wife was from a very wealthy family in Lagos State. I mean, extremely wealthy. He's not about to come and be a stay-home wife, and she's not going to have more than what she's already had. My grandfather has to go now and marry another woman. Now she married my mother's mother. My mother's mother, however, had been married before. Her husband went to World War I, never came back, right? So she waited, I think they said 13 or 12 years before she married again. So she married my grandfather. By the time she married my grandfather, she was a businesswoman traveling all over Africa. She too is not about to come and stay. Hence, my grandfather needs to marry somebody else. Now she married to a woman who is willing to stay. This woman, she couldn't have children. She has tried everywhere. She couldn't have children. She was the one that raised my mother and the three kids, the three children that my mother has, right? And my grandmother has for my grandfather. She was the one that raised them to the extent that when my mother was of the age to be married, it was my grandfather's wife that introduced my dad to my mom, that this is a good man for you to marry to, right? Hence my father, right? My mother was a virgin. She listened to her father's wife. She didn't have to, but she did, because she raised her. She sent them to school. She paid for their school fees. If many of us women are traders, we love to work, we love to do other things, but your man may still want somebody that's going to take care of the children at home. It is now, we have to start thinking of how do we raise family where you as a woman can go and do what you want to do by being respectful of the house, but allow your man to get another woman to continue the lineage to raise the family, where we don't have black children being molested, being raped, being abused on the streets, where you're now having black male wearing skirt, taking his thing. Right? Now, once the woman continued to raise my parents, my mom get married, my dad, they came to United States. So after some times, my grandfather called his wife and said, "You've been here for years. It is my wish for you to have children. You didn't have children. I want you to go and try somewhere else." Right? She went. When my man went back to Nigeria and found out that the woman that raised her was no longer in her father's house, she told her father to go back and bring her back. Hence, she spent the rest of her life in my grandfather's house. And at the end of her life, it was my parents that buried her. Not just that, so many women like that. I had an uncle that had 50 children by 10 different women. She has home. She got the money to raise them. She has 50 children. Some of the women are able to have children. Some of them are not. We don't throw them out because they can't have children. You bring another woman in to make that woman happy. Continue the lineage, right? But here in the US, what did they say? If you have a woman and if your wife can have a child, the man can have a child too. That is outrageous. That is not the way nature is supposed to be. The role of a man until the end of his life is to continue to produce children. Women can only produce children for a number of, we only have a limited of time to get it done, right? But what happened to the man if he wants to keep producing children? Now we're talking about, look at what they allow us to do in this country. They allow us to have abortion. Keep killing your child. So if the man goes out, you go and sleep with somebody else. You don't want your wife to know in the house. You are paying for abortion. You are committing abomination on the land. That's what they allowed us to do. You see the destruction? Sleeping with other women outside, those women having abortion, killing your child, will affect your lineage in the long run. Will affect those children because you have committed crime against humanity. If we don't start looking at these things the way we're really supposed to do, the way we are supposed to look at it as Black people, and so we have a much more responsibility on this planet than any other group of people, that our men, both men and women, needs to come together and say, I know as a man, you are most likely we want to have another woman in the future. If such time comes, I want you to get me involved. I need to be involved. I need to make sure that whoever you bring to the house is going to contribute to the continuation, to the progress of the family. That should be the conversation. My father had 4 wives. My mother was the first wife. He has 3 women that have children for him. Again, the other woman did not have children, did not have any child. I have 2 sisters in Ghana. So when we are talking about marrying other culture, I myself married to a Igbo man. My sister are married to a Black American, right? So what are we talking about here? That we can shield all these degenerate, this majority of Black Americans and now Africans are looking at Black men through the prism of white people.
Right. We
You
have
are
a white
looking
man's
at
mind.
your man. I'm sure many of you have read novel, right? When you read a lot of those romance novels, you've seen all the scandal, all those other degenerate shows. Now, when it's time for you to get married, you stylishly, you want your man to be a white man, but he's a Black man, because you know you're not going to get a white man, so you're going to manage to get this Black man, and then you're looking at him through the prism of that. We have to shed that from our mind.
Amen, sister.
We have to shed, we have to kill the need to look at our men through the order of little other men.
Missy Bar, let me do this. Let me pass it to Dr. Echols and Miss Carey. Then we'll pass it to Mashawn. Go ahead, Dr. Echols. You want to respond to that? I had to mute you, Dr. Echols. There's like some wind or background noise on your end.
Okay. Am I fine now?
Go ahead. All
right. So, I mean, all of that is a lot to unpack. So I just want to kind of, center the conversation back to these relationships and how they could work. We discussed some of the challenges that we have, and quite frankly, the challenges of these relationships tends to be the dominant narrative. I think there is a lot of incentive to keep us divided, and that includes the African diaspora relationships. But I'm more focused on how to make them work and how to overcome some of those challenges. So the first thing is some of the difficulty that Black American men have in these relationships. I did want to add some balance to that. Obviously, there are African American women that have successful relationships in the diaspora with African and Caribbean men. And typically when we have looked at this from a historical standpoint, you'll have more African American women in these relationships in African American men. Actually, the increase with African American men is more recent. And the basic difference you'll see is the being acclimated, getting used to those cultures. So that's the difference you'll see between those who are successful and those who are not. What they could get in trouble with is when they are going into these relationships without due diligence. I'll give an example of that. There was a sister that did a TikTok a couple of weeks ago. I know, Donis, you had covered that. This was a Black American sister, attractive Black American sister, that was making a video. She was looking for a Nigerian husband. And she said that she had a good job. She had a nice car. She had a house. And she was looking for a Nigerian man. And she said that she had NASH. I don't know if we got official definition for NASH, but I could guess what NASH means. But she had no requirement of that man. She was just looking for a man that she could take care of, and she wanted a better life. And I was
Dr. Echols, sorry to interject. So, and I asked that question earlier in the stream, that I noticed that with a lot of our sisters, when it comes to overseas dating, the standards just completely just drop. Like she said, I want, no, bring something to the table, pay the bills, take care of me. She was like, I'm bringing everything to the table, and I just want you to come and enjoy it.
Yeah, and
I was asking some of the other sisters, like, why, like, when a lot of our sisters, once they become a certain age, the standards just completely go away. Like, why is that? I'm just curious. But go ahead, Dr. Echols, with Pastor Kyrie, and maybe Mashawn or Missy Margaret answer.
It is curious. It is curious. I've quite frankly, I've noticed the same. And when you don't have those same standards, that's when you tend to see those relationships.
Now, did he freeze up, you guys, or is it just me? He froze up.
Froze up.
All right.
What you typically.
Yeah, froze up, Dr. Echols.
Okay. So I don't know where I left off, but with Black American men, what you tend to find, again, including myself, is we are looking for traditional women. We're looking for family-oriented women. We're looking for feminine women. Those are same type of things that we're attracted to over here. If you find that in a woman here, you'll be happy here. So when we go in the diaspora, when we go to Africa, you go to Caribbean, you go with Afro-Latino women, you're looking for the same thing. It has to be across the board. And when it's not across the board, that's when you're going to find struggles in those relationships. Again, these relationships are not magic. You have to find the right fit within your culture and outside of your culture.
Dinas, they drop the standards because there's this thing that kicks in and kicks them in the ass called reality. And black females live what I call a 25% pimp limp fantasy, pimp limp simp fantasy, where when they're 24 and younger, they look for the 15% Black man that has the shine, that's the hustle boy and the street boy, the gangster thug. The crack epidemic of the 80s made our women addicted to drug dealers and the guys with the shiny cars, the shiny rims, the shiny clothes, and the sagging pants. And after they get used up by those guys in their 40s, then they want the nerds and the geeks that they passed up, the nerds, geeks, and lames that they passed up. They want those guys to come and be super captain, save a hoe, and rescue them and finance their house and their car and their lifestyle. And once they realize, when they stop living that fantasy, then that's when they drop all those standards, because they've been given a fantasy to live. Our black men have been killed off in America, and so that kills off the black family. And so the new parents of black children coming up is the rap video. And so everybody's living their life like a rap video and wanting these pants sagging dudes. 80% of black kids are fathered by 15% of these pants sagging, dick grabbing, no job having brothers. And once these females, I mean, you talk about polygamy, that's the problem in America. We've been practicing polygamy. When you have these females that have 7 kids by 12 different guys, there's no better definition of polygamy than that. Black females in America have been practicing polygamy. When you have different baby daddies, what else is that? And so when they in their 20s, they spend their 20s chasing Pookie, Mowski, Mac, Nook, Nook, Little Wayne, little this and baby that and baby this, and getting pregnant by these guys. And once these guys pump and dump them and leave them with them kids, then reality sets in. And they realize, like Kevin Samuel said it best, they have low sexual marketplace value. And so that's where the standard drop comes in, because reality has kicked them in the ass.
Can I say something?
Well, let's pass it to Miss Carey first, then we'll pass it to you, Michonne. Go ahead, Miss Carey. Unmute yourself.
You know, I've been listening to everybody's perspectives and points and so forth, and they're good points. And then I believe that it depends on the person and how and then who raised them and so forth. I come from a 2-parent household, and I also have been and I've also observed my grandparents, aunts, and uncles who have that traditional marriage as well. And I know some people would think, oh, because I was born and raised in the United States, my mindset would be different to what they're saying. Oh, like I'll have all these, you know, what everyone has been saying about Black women in America and so forth, not having these traditional ideals and so forth. Don't want to go by that what and so forth. And actually, that's something that I saw my parents do and so forth. My dad has his role. My mom has her role, but he wasn't bashing her or looking down on her. And then my mom wasn't bashing my father as well. She allowed him to do his job, and she did her part. So that's how I feel that it's supposed to be that way. And then going with education and having a job or being independent and all that stuff. My grandmothers, my mothers, they had jobs and so forth, but they weren't saying, oh, I don't need you because I have a job and so forth. Like it's about building each other up. And I don't want to get too personal, but even with my husband and I, it's about building each other up, because I've been with him since I was 20 years old, and we're in our 30s now. And I watched him grow, he watched me grow. And that's how it is supposed to. I didn't have an expectation when I was 20 and he was 22. I didn't say, oh, you need to make 6 figures and things like that, because that's unrealistic. Maybe some 22-year-olds have that kind of cash flow, but I know what for me, I knew I wanted he was doing something for himself, and same with me, and we both wanted to build.
And
But
Miss
you're the
Carrie, that's why
exception.
we have to distinguish between cultures, right? From my understanding, you come from like you come from Liberian descent, so there's a difference between Black Americans that come from African descent and Black Americans that may come from descendants of slaves. And so in my culture, whether you want to call it ADOS, FBA, a lot of the stuff that Elijah is talking about is specifically within our culture. It's normal. What I found that it's normal for women in Africa, particularly West Africa, to have some type of income coming in and contribute to the household without, lambasting or disrespecting the man or feeling that the man is no longer the head of the household because they're contributing financially. It's just it's a cultural difference.
Yes, and
Right.
I understand that Pan African capitalist, and thank you for sharing that. And like, although I'm like of Liberian descent, I am and historically based on Liberian history, we share the same ancestors because some of my ancestors were Americo Liberians who came from the South and repatriated to Liberia, as well as I have ancestors who came from Barbados and repatriated to Liberia, and I'm of indigenous Liberian background as well.
But
Yeah.
Let's
not
Mashawn, go ahead, Mashawn. Unmute yourself, Mashawn.
Good evening, everyone. It's a lot on this conversation. But I wanted to say, like you have put in, the topic is polygamy and bridging the gap of all of Africa, correct? So that means marriage and relationships that will help each other through marriage. So that's a little difficult, being that I am ADOS and I heard what everybody had to say. And I am a woman with many children. I've heard the comments about ADOS. I just want to talk about that because 2 years ago, I had a friend call me who said they're having meetings throughout the country in Georgia on polygamy. And so the reason why polygamy was so important, because it's supposed to be a solution or resolution to the problem of Black America and Black family. And so to me, that was confusing because most of the men that I know of who were meeting, how can you resolve our problems by having more than one wife? And I didn't really get that. It sounded to me like they were, I put in a comment, a bunch of freaks. So you want to resolve our issues of fatherhood or no fatherhood by taking up women or single women who have children and the father's not present. And if the father was involved and do what he had to do, whether they were 20 or 50 or 60, there would be no need for polygamous relationship. That's the way I see it. And I don't see it as a relationship, as a resolution to our problems and our situation. Like, I don't know if it was Elijah who said that about how American young women are used to fantasizing about the drug dealer. Now, me coming up, I'm used to having what I thought was something, a roof over my head, income of my own, because yes, I do like personally certain things, and I would like to be able to afford it without relying on the man. Now, the issue is, of course, income and poverty is if the man is able to afford to take care of his wife. So that's a discretion there. So if the man wants you to respect them and to listen to everything they tell you to do in that sense, the man is by nature, if I'm correct, they're supposed to be a provider, right? So
Right.
you're supposed to be able to provide. I'm not saying, because some women, I'm not going to lie, could be over the top, because at one time I was over the top. This is what I want. And not my husband. I'm talking about dating men. This is what I want to do. This is what I want, this dress.
Mashawn,
Yes.
I want you to repeat that again. You were once over the top.
When
Yes, I was. But hold up. I was able to, as a young woman, I was able to realize whatever I want, I have to give for myself. Now, hold up. Now, being that said, when you get into, I'm talking about the Black American man now, because not most, but it has changed because of the quality. Now, I know you're going to debate me about that. I'm talking about the quality of men is hard to find depending on how you were raised and what you want. So that's where the complaining coming through. Because I'm gonna tell you, I've tried build a man. Meaning that we built a man because, oh, that man looked like he's good for you.
Can I respond to the sister when she's done?
That man looked like he's good for you. He's right for you. And when the Bible says being equally yoked, maybe that man can change because of what the man has to offer. The type of man has to offer to the women growing up in the same community. So if you go with that man and you are a builder and he comes in and you're in a relationship and you have children and he's not doing half of the stuff that you're doing, it's a lot of us have been through that. I don't know what to call it, and I don't want to like talk down on Black American men. Or Black men.
It's called white. It's called white terrorism.
No, it's not white. That's in it. To me, that's an excuse.
Can I finish?
No, let me finish.
Can I finish?
Go ahead, Michelle.
No, and let me finish. It's not calling
an excuse.
white.
That's a reason. It's a reason.
No, it has nothing to do with being white. It has to do with the Black man.
I never said that. You didn't let me finish.
I'm sorry. Well, I'm talking. Let me finish and then you could go in. So what I was saying is the men, from what I can see, now we're going into our 30s, 40s, and 50s. These are men. I don't like the system. It's not like they're able to provide. Even though the system plays a role, they're not able to provide like we can provide. But we want the man to be headship and a leader, but it's something that's lacking. So it affects the whole community, really. Now, I'm talking about the Black American men. And I noticed there is a little difference, oh, don't get on me, ADOS and FBA, of those from Africa, from the continent, the way they treat their women, there is a difference, but it also goes on what the woman expects from her man. So like capitalist is marrying his staff because he's saying they making less than $100 a month, a week. So he decides that he's going to have however many wives, polygamy practices, and I guess he's going to provide for his staff, because that doesn't make sense to me either, because that sounds like you taking advantage, brother. But anyway, being that said, it's about accountability, what you have to offer, and what happened to love. I mean, I guess that's out the picture. Thank you.
So
let me just respond to that real quick.
Well, no, hold on. Elijah, hold on. Let Missy Morrow go, and I'm gonna let Gohard Gambia respond because he's calling from the Gambia. So, Missy Morrow, you got 30 seconds, and I'm gonna pass it to Gohard Gambia. Go ahead.
There's a lot there that is more than 30 seconds, but let me just.
Okay, you got a minute. 1 minute. Go ahead.
First of all, I think we need to get away from love for a minute. This is not about love. We need to procreate. We need to fill the land. Love comes because when you meet somebody, when you're looking at somebody, right? If you love yourself, because I don't know what the definition of love is, the way we talk about love. First of all, we as Black people, when you meet a man that you're going to have children with, you should feel it in your gut. You should naturally feel it. We don't have to sleep with so many men to finally find that one. There should be no such thing saying that we are dating. You should go right straight to whoever you're going to be married to. But you see, this is how, when the brother was saying that this system gets messed up, this is part of it. You should be able, when you are of a marriage age, if you have certain suitors that you are looking into, maybe you have 1 or 2 or 3 of them, you should not sleep with a single one of them until you pick the right one that you're going to sleep with. But you see, they get all messed up like that. So now we get to sleep with A, B, C, D, E, F, and all the way you count all the alphabet, and now you're going to pick one, right? So
sister,
now, when you
in your
pick
culture,
when
In your
you finally pick one, we're picking the wrong one, or we assume we're picking the wrong one. What happens is when you have other people's DNA, other people's energy inside your body, you don't know what you're doing. So these are things we need to deal with. Whether you are Black in this America or Africa, every single one of you first need to start detoxing. You need to diss your entire body, your brain, your gut, so that when you finally meet the right person, you can pinpoint that you don't need to sleep with the entire town. Right? Yes.
Ibarra.
Right.
Doesn't in your culture, doesn't your father pick the man to marry the daughter?
So now listen to this. So in Hausa culture, definitely. Most Yoruba culture, definitely, because if you're going
you know what that means? What does that mean? A female is totally incapable of picking a mate. Why? Yes, hold on. Let me finish. Let me finish. Then I'm gonna let you have it.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Females only know three. They only have this. Females cannot pick a mate. They are not capable of picking a mate. God didn't make them capable of picking a mate. Why? Because females, I found as a psychologist, females have three categories for males: ugly, cute, and fine. That's all a female knows. That's all a female. Those are the only categories a female has. But a father has a long list
of demands.
Come talk to me. Come talk to me, boy. You like my daughter? Who your people in them is?
Yes.
Where you come from? What's your cultural background? Who you related to? Who's your aunts? Who's your uncles? Who's your cousins?
My husband I had to bring my husband to my house so my dad can see him.
Thank you.
That's true.
Thank you.
So
where do you work? Where do you work? What are your short-term goals? What are your medium-term goals? What are your long-range goals? How much do you have in your account? What are your career goals? What's your vision for my wife? What's your vision for your children? We've got to dating like the sister, I think Sister Saye said earlier, referred to dating, and Kevin Samuel said it best. The purpose of dating is for sex. The purpose of courtship is for marriage. And we have completely gotten away from courtship because why? The Black man in America has been completely destroyed, ruined, and killed by death, by prison, and by drugs, and by everything else. It's called social engineering. And the sister tried to tell me that this is an excuse. No, this is not an excuse. This is called a strategy. Like somebody in the comment section said, this is the Moynihan report. It's under code words called white terrorism, social engineering, urban renewal, gentrification, police brutality. It has racism has taken on these different forms that have genocided the Black man, and we cannot have families and cultural norms anymore because our men have been killed off. Go ahead.
So let me respond to that. So what you are saying is very important, right? As I was saying earlier, it was my grandfather, my mom's wife, my mom's father. His wife was one that chose the husband for my mom, right? She's not the mother, but she did. Once she says, this is the person that I want your daughter to marry, they went to my dad. They went to my grandfather. My grandfather realized my father was very responsible, very young, but my father was very funny and was a school teacher, right? Based on that, what they now did is they sent people to his hometown in Ogun State. They went to go and investigate his background, who his family member, where he came from, stuff like that, right? When it was time for my parents to get married, their wedding day was 3 days wedding affair. It started Friday, Saturday, Sunday, finally before she was taken to their home, right? All the family, they came together. So my father had to pay bride price, right? So all the list, so they have to go back all the way checking my father's out. It's called investigation now, right? To find out who this person is. Apart from that, there are things that they have to do traditionally. Brother Amir or any Nigerians that are here that can testify to that. In the earlier times, I'm not sure if they're still doing it now. They will go to Ifa to go and ask that this man and this female and this daughter of ours, can they come together in marriage? Are they going to are they going to have a good family life? Whatever Ifa says, the family will abide by it. Most times, whatever the father says, right? Because most of the men and most of the elders in Africa, at least up until when I left, they still have their instincts that if they say this marriage is not, something is not right about it, it's not going to last. At times, there was an issue where there was a relationship that I was aware of where the mother said, alas, my daughter is not going to marry your child. They say, oh no, they were begging. The day before the wedding, the young girl died. And then he left the young man for a long time that he couldn't find somebody to marry. So at times in African society, in African tradition, when they're telling you that this marriage cannot hold, there might be a reason. It's not always about money. If the man has land or his family have land, the marriage is good to go. If the man can afford to provide all the marriage rights, the marriage is good to go. Because when you are building together, as far as building wealth, which comes later. In African tradition, having children that last you your lifetime, your lineage is more important. My father had 14. He's now left with 12. He has grandchildren now. He's going to have more, right? So the continuation, having your lineage to continue on, is far much more important than what you have in cash right now to provide, right?
Right. And that's my point. Black people in America they're more careful about breeding a damn pit bull than they are breeding with other people.
You got a point.
The female, like you said, there's we think FBI means Federal Bureau of Investigation. No, daddy got an FBI, a father's background investigation on the man that calls himself want to marry his daughter. And see, we as men, we are the police. We're the police of the house and the police of the family. And like I said, females only have 3 categories to put males in: ugly, beautiful, and fine.
All right, Elijah, let me do this. Let me pass it to Mr. Echols, and I'm gonna pass it to Gohar Gambia. Go ahead, Mr. Echols. I'm gonna pass it to Gohar Gambia. Go ahead, Mr. Echols.
Okay. All right. So again, a lot to unpack there. There's a lot of different talking points. But let me start back. There was a question about what the topic was. My understanding is the topic is should Africa and the diaspora be united or can be united in marriage? That's my understanding of the topic. Obviously, polygamy is a very popular discussion when you talk about relationships in Africa, and I get that. I think my answer to the ultimate question is that a lot of what we heard is some of the cultural differences and some of the cultural challenges. And that's why, even though there's increased interest and an increasing number of people in these relationships, you don't see it as the dominant relationship dynamic, because there are cultural differences. Some of the more successful ones you'll find in more traditional families. We have to, again, you have to make sure you have a good match. Sister Saye talked about being from a traditional family. I'm African American. Someone I saw some in the chat ask where I'm from. I'm originally from Chicago. I come from a traditional family as well. 2-parent household. My parents have been married for 54 years. So in terms of looking for a more traditional relationship, that's one of the things that attracted me in these types of relationships. And I believe it's something that attracted the women to me, Caribbean African women, that was more traditional. So again, speaking to that earlier point that you have to find the particular relationship dynamic that works for you, whether you're polygamous, whether you're monogamous, whether you're looking for a man to provide, whether you're looking for a woman to that's traditional, you have to make sure that you get the right match. Because one thing that I think Sister Abari, what I get ultimately from what she has been saying is that in Africa, you tend to find that these relationships is a blending of two families, not just two individuals. So you have to make sure that all those goals, the way that you approach relationships and family, to make sure that it matches. So even though I have always classified these relationships as the future, I think that if we're going to advance and improve as a people, it's going to be ultimately through relationships like this, but we're not quite there yet. There is a lot of bridges that we have to cross. Many of us are able to do so successfully. Not all of us are. As you see more of us get into these relationships, you will start to see some of the challenges. So some of these things that we're talking about are barriers that we have to climb over, and that's pretty much my perspective on that.
Brother, you know what you're saying, what is so important? Give me a second. What you're saying, what is so important, even when the relationship is over, if the two families come together, right?
Hey, Bar, let me pass it to Gohar Gambia because he's calling from Gambia.
Right,
Go ahead,
right.
Gohar Gambia. Go ahead.
I was sitting over here with the patience of a Buddha. You know, it's been raining in the country and the power been going in and out. So I hope I can be on for just a few minutes. Coming from the States, I was in a marriage for 18 years, in a monogamous marriage. And over the past 4 years, I transitioned over to polygamous lifestyle. And I've been married 4 times in polygamy here in Gambia with 1 divorce. So in terms of polygamy, you know, us as a people, it's just a part of our cultural background. And, you know, anyone who has a African-centric mindset should understand that. That's just one of the core things. And we have this whole romance, this whole concept of love. Love is the most misused word in the English language. You know, it's really based around romance and the Eurocentric concept of, the matriarch concept that they're promoting. So in any case, when we look at our community, it hasn't worked for us. From day one, you know, how we marry puts us at a disadvantage. According to our ancestral way, you know, man's supposed to marry half his age plus 7, and that's roughly about 10 years, you know, younger than him, because women biologically and mentally, they mature faster than men. So if you have, let's say, 2 people at the age of 20 years old that's dating, the girl, she's more like a 20, she has more like a 28, 30-year-old mentality, and she's dealing with someone that's more like a little brother. So what we have is we have moved into this concept of when a woman moves from her father household, it's all divine. You know, the father is he who takes the family further, but it gets to a point where he can't take the daughter further anymore when she has her, her men's. So at that time, she goes to another household, another father figure. Okay, not a brother figure that she, that she chooses on her own. So we have all of this divine systems that's in place. It's just that we're programmed. My brother always used to say, Brother John used to say, we're turned upside down. Well, we're turned around and upside down. So that's the furthest point you could be from doing things right. So in any case, you have so much in monogamous societies, you have more premarital sex, you have more children being born out of wedlock. I remember one time I was in Atlanta, right? And I was right there at MLK and Joseph Lowry at the gas station. And a lady came up to me and she was like, Can I get $5? And I was like, I ain't got $5. She's like, damn, now I gotta go sell my pee. Right. So, we just got to take a look at what we're dealing with, and most people won't see it. For me, after I said, hey, listen, when I was in my first marriage, my first wife, my ex-wife, great all around person. I mean, I wouldn't trade her for the world. However, in order for us to grow, there has to be we have to be able to match each other. So if I have the capacity to, anybody know me, I have a lot of women around me because, I'm a Pisces. That's how I move. It's woman empowerment, and I'm teaching and I'm schooling and things like that. You understand what I mean? So, naturally, women, they're going to gravitate that. They're going to see that as stability, security. You know what I mean? And I'm fine too. So, it's a whole concept, that we have to, look at. Let's say two sisters. Most sisters would probably be dealing with a baby father who has who has other children or another girlfriend, right? Now you just think about it. If there was a communication between the two, I see it happen every day. I'm in an environment where, I have children by one wife, and then the other wife, it's one love here, one family, and they're raised up like that. So it's small jealousy, but nothing compared to the States. They see each other, it's one family. But you do have a small, my first wife, she like a sister from the States. You know what I mean? When we got to the point where we needed to grow in dynamic. And so that comes with choosing the proper mate. But I've saw things there early on. I know her father wasn't in the household. You understand? I saw her mother had some emotional issues going on. So I was like, okay. But sometimes, I married the first girl that I met here in Gambia. I tell people that all the time, But in any case, as far as Black America is concerned, and like the brother Dr. Mark shared, some people make the transition, some won't make the transition. However, it's happening. Black people in America. For about 10 years ago, we used to watch Sister Wives all the time, and HBO and the network started putting that truth out there. And if you ever watch Sister Wives, when it comes on, you'll see them standing in the universe. You'll see them standing on planets. Okay, that's your sign, Black man and woman. Okay. So with that idea, like I said, it's more of an organized thing. However, we have this Western monkey on our back.
It's the white man's mind.
Yes, it has to be. And the solution for us. When we were doing the whole citizenship thing a couple of years ago, I remember we were sitting down with this brother from Jamaica, and he was like, the real repatriates are the children. Right now, I have 4. I have 2 sons here, and I have 2 daughters.
Hey, Brother Gohard,
did you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Let's pass.
Can I ask him a question right quick?
Before you pass it, can I just say something real quick, Dennis?
Hold on. Let me ask Brother Gohard a question. Brother Gohard.
Yes, sir.
I land in Banjul Tuesday, so please put your contact number in the private chat for me. I'll be there Tuesday.
Okay, yes, sir. If that's it, well, I just want to say one thing. And the sister Lee Barra, she said it. We got to forget about this love thing. It's about the DNA right now. Elon Musk and Jack Ma. They I don't know if you all see the interview, but they were telling you there's going to be a huge population reduction in the next 20 to 30 years. So, my father used to say, a hint to the wise is sufficient. So I'll let it go on that note.
Yeah, I just wanted to say real quick before you pass it to Complex. Sister Mashawn, she addressed me directly. I wanted to correct her. So I'm not marrying my employees. You said I was marrying my employees. These are women that have their own jobs. I mean, they'll be working for me in the future because I believe that, your wives and your family members should work in the family business. I think it's better than working for, the Lebanese or the Arab or what have you. That's one. Number two, I'm not taking advantage of these women. Like you just said that Black American men have problem, taking care of their household. So what's the problem with a Black American man having women from other countries that's able to take care of those women? What's the issue with that?
Can I say something? This is Michelle speaking. Now, if you're going to
you got 30 seconds. Go ahead. I'm going to pass the
30 seconds. If you're going to have a unity between like ADOS, FBA, and all of Africa, it really has to be for the building of not just yourself, but us as a people. Because I wanted to touch a point on that. But to me, you're still taking advantage. Why do you have to marry?
How am I taking advantage?
You're supposed to be a provider, right? And you said you don't want your wives working for everybody else. You want your wives to work for you.
No, I said
so that's an agenda right there.
Within a family business.
No, hold on. Let me interject. I'm the same way. I don't want my wife calling another man boss.
Yes.
I don't want my
me too. I agree.
But you know, I'm seeing it like this.
No, Michelle, hold on. Yes. I worked in corporate America. Like I worked in corporate America. Exactly. I see what happens with these women and they male managers. Mm-hmm. Like, nah, you ain't
and work husbands. Work husbands.
But you gotta have 5, 6, or 7 of them. Why not one?
My sister, the richest man in Nigeria, a billionaire, right? His wife work for him. All his wife work in his business. Okay, Dangote.
So guess what? If I was to be one of their wives, then that means my husband would let me find another husband. How about that?
No. You are not meant to do that, my sister. No.
Different culture. No, that's not African culture, sister.
That's women. That's the white woman's women liberation. That's white woman's women liberation thinking.
My women don't want other husbands, but they don't want other husbands. Okay.
See, I'm not down with sharing. I am not down with sharing, but I will be down with possibly marrying someone from Africa. That's it. You can still be a builder. You can still be a nation builder and be aggressive and be smart to help all of everybody without having many wives.
That's not true. You are down with sharing. You are down with sharing.
Yep.
Let me
hold on. What? Let me see, Brian. Let me pass the Complex, and then we'll go ahead, Complex. Let me mute yourself.
Man, I was just trying to. This panel is awesome. Hey, Mashawn, you're awesome. Ibarra O, you're awesome. Elijah, Pan-African Capitalist, Miss Carrie, Dr. Echols, Prince Dynast. This is an awesome panel. I'm gonna start with positivity. So, in the name of Olodumare,
thank you, brother.
No problem. In the name of Olodumare, I come complex. So, y'all made some of the best points ever. I don't even know where to start with this, but this whole Disney getting at us as children and telling us that our daughters need to be princesses that pick a frog to kiss, that our daughter needs to pick somebody when she sleep, like I ain't gonna mention another brother, like she was doped out and she and this guy kissed her back to life. They sent us off day one of and they got us in our youth playing with Barbie and Ken. Come on now, we played house. Say you didn't play house when you were little. Say you didn't. I was the husband.
Hey, Complex.
So I'm gonna take it back to like just the basics. I was the husband playing house when we were little. There were many wives here or there. They were looking for the right husband, but as I don't know if it's Dr. Echols or Elijah mentioned, that was in those fairy tales, the father didn't pick the credentials. No one was asking for those credentials. It was who was cute, fine, or whatever. It was that. Are y'all gonna tell me I'm lying? Yes or no?
No, sir.
All right, LaShawn, can you tell me I'm lying?
You know another thing. You know what else proves your point?
No.
You mentioned Barbie dolls. Now all the black females want to look like a Barbie doll with the fake hair and the fake eyelashes and the fake booties and the fake breasts and the fake stomach.
Well, I'm gonna blame that on partially programming from television magic, because it is magic. Mr. Ibar, you know what I'm talking about. It's magic. It's color magic. It's light magic. It gets to you. That light gets to you whether you sleep or awakened, and you're being programmed. That's why it's called a television. What, y'all?
Program.
Program. It's not a mistake. Let's go, y'all. So what is your DNA? What does your DNA tell you to do? What is Dr. Mark Echols' meiotic drive? You know about that, Dr. Mark, right? Meiotic drive. If y'all look it up, meiotic drive, MEIOTIC, drive in DNA. It's the programming that says what the X chromosome is to do. And then there's a programming that says what the Y chromosome is to do. A lot of us in African spirituality, we go and get divination readings, such as Ifa readings or Akan readings or different readings, which only pretty much read the programming you come with already.
Exactly.
Tells you your destiny, gives you something to work off of, and then we turn around and we trade those things for our Bibles, Qurans, and other things. And there's no problem with that because the Bible has divination in it. The Quran has divination and sacrifice in it. Buddhism has divination and sacrifice in it. Don't think I'm wrong. Go look up Gautama Siddhartha, the Bodhi, and look up Bodhi, the original Bodhi. But I'm not here to do a history lesson. I'm here to try to bring this all together. Mashawn spoke on her thought that what they call polygamy doesn't work for African American. Polygamy is the wrong word. Whenever we use Latin-based language, it's always going to screw us. It's their thought. Language controls thought. So if you can ask yourself, can you think in another language? And if you cannot, and you're not practicing it, they rule how you think.
Exactly.
Sister Ibarra probably could think in another language. I'm practicing on thinking another language. I have been on, I believe, 3 of Dynas tours. So please support his tours. I've learned a lot being there. I have dated in college an Igbo woman of Africa.
Oh, that's right, Nigeria.
And I was ready to marry her off hello. Because of her culture. I've never seen nothing like that in my life. I am from the projects of Chicago. I have never seen a woman act like that. And it's not the downer women I grew up with. You all are great. We are in love with our Black women in America. You are in love with us. But we have to get past what they programmed us to do, which is self-destruction. Self-destruction. And what I see as an answer is the culture we had before they snatched it from us.
Indeed.
African culture. African culture. Just at least look at it. I'm not saying to go to it if you don't want to, but your Bible is about African culture. I'm pretty sure Elijah and Dr. Mark can say that anybody who reads the Bible, the most mentioned nations in the Bible and the Quran and the Torah are African nations. Am I wrong, anyone?
Definitely. Brother Complex, do you know why what you're saying is most important? And maybe I can respond to my sister, Mashan. When you're saying that working for your husband or is the man using you, that's not. We as women, if you're dealing with African culture, if you really look at it from the way it's supposed to be, let me just say Yoruba particularly, because I'm a Yoruba woman, right? you are supposed to work your business or whatever you are doing is supposed to be not too far from your home, right? In most cases, the man build the house or your husband's house, right? Or your family's husband's house has a place for you where you can do your business, where you are not further away from your children. You are not supposed to really pick everything and go drive 30, 40, 300 miles like we do here to go and work and then answer to another man where they stress you out over there and you come home and you bring all that bad energy home. That's not the way it's supposed to be. The richest man in Africa, all his wife, I believe Dangote, I'm not sure if any of his wives are even working at all, right? He got it like that. But I'm talking about Rasaki, right? Billionaire Eleganza. His wife worked for him, but he has multiple wives. There are many of them, these are the one that he married when he was younger. They don't mind that the latest wife, the last wife is shiny. They don't mind that because, he's a billionaire. They got it.
Ibarra.
To build family.
Let me finish comp. You got 20 seconds. Then I'm gonna interject,
Okay.
and then I'm gonna
Thank you,
scary.
So, Ibarra, I do the same thing, but my woman is not. She is not my employee. She is my partner.
Exactly.
She has a share in stock. If I pass away, she gets all of it, and the children are beneficiaries to my trust. That is the way to do it. If I pass away, they run the business and they're learning on the business. My children have tax-free work because they are the employees. So I agree with Pan-African capitalists, and I can't agree with you, Mashawn, but we all are growing. And I'm gonna stop there. Thank you, Dynast.
Dynast, you're muted.
Yes.
I know. I'm unmute myself. Sorry about that. Guys, do me a favor. Make sure everybody, okay, if you have not purchased the documentary yet, okay, guys, I need you to go and buy the documentary. All right. Hold on one second. The screen is pulling up. I don't know. It's kind of slow right now. But Missy Barr, so when I was doing sales for my company, Centos, when I was in LA, there was a guy, listen, both his ex-wives still work for him. His ex-girlfriend worked for him, and his current girlfriend worked for him.
That's it.
It was in San Pedro. But guys, listen, make sure you go to documentary. Make sure you go to documentary. Well, just go to searchforahuru.com, guys, and buy the documentary. I need everybody. Shout out to Miss Carrie and brother Complex for purchasing the documentary. I saw you guys.
You saw it.
Yeah. I saw that. I saw it.
Mine only shows on Facebook though. Like, can I get it to show just on my computer? Because it shows on Facebook when I go into it.
No. It shows on your computer. You just see where it says log in up here. You just log in on any device, and you can rewatch it after you purchase it on any device.
Oh, thank you, man. I didn't understand how that was happening.
Yeah. So you just click on log in right here. Once you purchase it, you have your email and your password you set up. You click log in, and you can watch it limitedly on any device. So yeah. So
can
guys,
we save it on the thumb drive?
No, because I don't want your cousins boosting it in front of the liquor store, in front of the barber shop. So no. So you got to log in. Yeah, I don't want your cousins boosting it. Yeah. So yeah, guys, go to searchforahuru.com and you can purchase the documentary.
Brother, you see what you are saying? Just because the relationship ends doesn't mean that your partnership ends. Life continues, right? And that's what these people get us to do. When we end the relationship, we destroy each other. You break up the marriages. If you have businesses, you break it up. You don't have to break those things up. Those can continue on. You see, we have to change the way, get away from the system completely.
Okay, go ahead, Miss Carrie. Go ahead, Miss Carrie, and then we'll pass it back to Dr. Echols.
So when being in an African diaspora marriage or relationship, you have to be open minded, regardless if you're looking for a polygamous or monogamous relationship. Be open minded to each other, and you have to learn to embrace each other's cultures. And I feel that by doing that, that can make the relationship successful. And also, it starts from the home, the community, nation, and in the world. So that's why I am for African diaspora relationships and marriages. And I'm also for bridging the gap between Africans and African descendants. And thank you, Dynas, for having me on this panel. And thank you everyone
Anytime.
who's been on this panel. And you all, please, you should buy the documentary. It's very enlightening.
Definitely.
And again, this documentary helps bridge the gap between Africans and African descendants.
Definitely.
I appreciate it. Dr. Echols, go ahead, Dr. Echols.
As I've just been taking this all in, just enjoying these conversations. So, again, I have been studying these relationships, talking about these relationships for over 20 years. And I am amazed and humbled to see how it has progressed. It has progressed from when there was almost no one talking about these relationships at all. I knew they were happening because I was seeing them happen, but no one was talking about these relationships. For many years, it seemed like I was having a conversation with myself. And now we have this explosion in interest over these last few years. And this panel is an example of that. So I'm listening to these different dynamics and seeing that some are making it work. My screen is minimized, so I don't see the brother's name, but the Gohar Gambia, I believe it was him being in polygamous relationships and making that work. Others being in those type of relationships and making that work. Ultimately, it points to my main point with these relationships. Any type of relationship dynamic you're looking for can be found within the African diaspora. That's why I'm such a fan of these relationships. So if this is what you're looking for and you can make it work, God bless.
Thank you, Dr. Mark.
No problem. Thank you. Let's see here. Shabaka, go ahead, Shabaka. You were having some. Go ahead.
How you doing? I wanted to speak on the portion where they said romance, and I noticed a little bit was going on when I was in the background. It kind of appears as if there should have been a notice like American women having problems in African relationships. Now, I have not seen that, but I come from a background where the American women was marrying the Africans, and that's how it was. But that romance thing, it's funny to hear American gentlemen say that, but I've noticed if you're not so romantic, it's like they'll get upset with you about that, just not knowing what your background is. Like they want you to be um like in the polygamous relationships that I was trying to be in with my pop, they had issues with me only wanting sexual activity at certain times. And if they have other wives, I wouldn't see why that would be an issue. And this is with American stuff, but the Africans didn't have an issue because they like money as well. But it just was like, if the father is involved, first of all, they got to want to have a relationship in the first place. Most people don't want a nation build. They don't want an exchange of resource. And regardless if whether it's majority of AA men or AA women having problems bridging this gap, we're trying to do it, but there is a double standard here, a big one, and I'm seeing it, and there's a language barrier as well. We have to be patient with these things, and especially we can get offended sometimes if we don't understand everything in its full, context. Because I heard the gentleman say that women have this dream about Barbie dolls. So if they don't have that dream about Barbie dolls, then it's another issue and another issue and another issue. When do we stop that? You know what I mean?
Can I
I mean, I'm just
respond, Dinus?
Yeah. Go ahead. Then we'll pass it to two Nigel. Go ahead.
Uh,
Complex. Then we'll pass it
that
to
was
Nigel.
me, sister, that said something about the Barbie dolls. So you said the word romance. That's Roman. See, when a man gets down on one knee to propose, that's Roman culture. When a man puts a ring on that ring finger, that's a Roman ring finger. When a man has a priest or preacher, usually at an American wedding, that's a Roman priest.
And
You
Romans
in
killed
somebody
Black
else's culture.
Jesus.
Yeah, you in somebody else's culture. And that is part of the problem. We
Romans
need to
killed
find
Black Jesus.
ourselves and our own identity to define. We need to find and define. And by the way, before I go, I am trying to get Dinus to make this Search for Uhuru network with all these great panelists he has so we can work together and be up under him. So Dinus, don't say I ain't come out here and put it out there now. I'm looking for that Search for Uhuru network so I can work with you.
Okay. It's there.
Just let you know.
Can I just speak on the double standard?
Real quick,
Well,
that the idea of Dennis having a bringing the panel together. We're about to have a conference and a meetup, and in Dallas, where we can all come together. Everything you talked about, brother. All the people, all the panelists on the Dynasty can come together in Dallas, and that'll be in about a month. I'll give you the details later.
Okay,
I just wanted to.
Yeah, go ahead, Mashawn. We'll pass it to two Nigel. Go ahead, Mashawn.
Okay, I just wanted to speak on how the sister was saying the double standard, because I see the double standard. But I want to comment on something that is it. Ibamu, can you pronounce your name?
You mean Ibarra?
Ibana. Is that your name? Ibarra. Okay, so you mentioned something about women need to detox themselves, which I agree with. If they had slept with different men,
not just women, both men and women.
Yes, I agree, because I have detox and I see the difference because we are the receivers, and when women have the receivers, it's true. Your DNA becomes part of your blood, your body. Right. So that's not really taught, but I see the difference. Yes, it does. And it does has an effect on men and women. But then what you're also saying is double standard, and it's contradictory, because you just said the king, is it Gambia or Ghana, has multiple wives. So what about those multiple wives? Because I'm sure he's having fun with all of his wives, right? So that means his DNA is going in all those wives. But guess what? The wife is also having the DNA of the other wives too.
But
so it's still contradictory.
I'm not agreeing with you. I completely agree with you. For example, we have a king in Nigeria by the name of King the Oyo State King. Brother Amir is aware of him. When you are in a relationship that is harmonious, right, where there is love and the protection is I don't know how to explain it, but where that the continuation of lineage is involved, just because a man is intimate. You see, the way we say things in English is very, very salacious. I wanted to say it's always ring the other side, right? The role of a man is to continue his lineage regardless, right? Regardless of whether he has one wife, 2, 3, or 4 wives. Or your state king just died a couple of months ago. He has many wives, right? When some of his the women that he has, when they were much older, they can't continue having children, he get to the next one. This is not there is not an argument whether he's having too much fun. Of course he's having fun. Of course.
Well, Mashawn was wrong.
He comes to you. When it's your turn, he comes to you. You have some fun intimately with your husband. And all of you wives comes together when you're having a wedding for your children. If you're having some type of celebration, namely ceremony, everybody comes together. In Western society, they have reduced reduced Black civilization to nothing but just sex only. That's it. Where in our mind, we're not thinking about, we just want to own this man. Mind you, you just don't own it, right? Because even if this man is 100% with you, none of us can really say this man is really 100% with us. He may not show it to you. He can go out there and find, I see a nice looking lady and just sleep with her one time. And they may
but he's still, but where the contradiction is, he is still carrying everybody else's spirit, his wives and everybody else.
Well,
so everybody, hold on.
No, that's wrong.
Everybody's DNA is still being spread around.
Let me say something. Let me clear something up. Remember that in African tradition, women does use a lot of herbs. We use a lot of herbs, and there are ways that we cleanse ourselves all the time. It's not just
so, Dynast, what would be the data for STDs during? I would like to know the data for STDs and polygamous relationships. You said about the herbs.
It's zero. No. Let me just tell you this. My uncle, Major Bolade in Nigeria, has 50 children, about 10 wives. I can honestly say you, he died at the age of 75. He sent all of his children, with the exception of one, to university. Every one of his children graduated. All of his wives, only a couple of them does not have anything that they do. They all come to him every morning to ask for what they're going to eat on the daily basis. Despite that they have businesses, right? Now, what I'm going to tell you, there is never any one time that I heard that he has a disease or that his wife has disease. Neither does my mom has any form of disease. When you are in a spiritual relationship where you are forward moving your lineage, I promise you that is not part of your issue. Number one. Number two, when a woman has a baby, right? When you're going through pregnancy, all these women comes and rattle around you. If they are good women, it is not always the case, but that is the normal tradition. Your mother comes in, your in-laws, everybody comes to you, they surrounded themselves to you, they took care of you. When you finish having your child, they come to take care of you. They take care of your inner being physically, so that when you're ready to carry on the next child or you want to be intimate again, your body is ready to receive. I'm telling you right now, unless we detox this, you're gonna have to. I'm telling you, I came to US. I'm telling you, within a few years, I already addicted to American mentality. It doesn't take that much.
The white man's mind.
It doesn't take that much.
Okay, you're saying a white man's mind. Let's talk about Idi Amin. Idi Amin had many wives. And you know, one of the stories.
No, Michelle, hold on. We got Dr. Echols, I think, was to say. Go ahead, Dr. Echols.
Okay, go ahead.
Dynast, I got to go.
Okay, well, I promise. Yeah, I promise I'll be quick with this point.
No, Dr. Echols, you're a guest. You and Miss Carey are the main guests, so you guys take your time.
Okay, so just in general, what the conversation is about double standards. Ultimately, I think that double standards. Again, I've been in these conversations for over 20 years. I've heard all types of double standards. The motivations, negative comparisons. I think all of that is irrelevant. Your motivation for these relationships should be pursuing what's in your best interest. Relationships that work for you. What the next man doing and what the next woman is doing is irrelevant to the relationship you should be looking for. You're looking for the relationship that works.
African culture, it is very relevant what the next man is doing. Is very relevant.
Let Dr. Echols finish, please.
Okay, sorry.
African culture has over 3,000 different ethnic groups. That's the reality. the diversity of the African culture and the African diasporan culture is one that you could find the one that works best for you. So my recommendation for anybody entering these type of relationships is to network and discuss with those who are in these relationships and are successful in these relationships. And fortunately, now, because of the internet, because of social media, we actually can make these connections. Again, channels like Search for Aruru, with Dynast, the wonderful programs he's been putting on over the years, the tours he does, the discussions he had, Kinganda. I had mentioned before, brother Yazid Muhammad, that offers background checks, gives people direction on how to successfully repatriate in Africa, specifically Ghana, in his instance. Speak with people who are successful in these relationships, learn these cultures, and you could be successful in them. So again, what African American men are doing, what African American women are doing should be and ultimately is irrelevant for your relationship and the type of relationship you want to have. If you want to be successful in this relationship, that needs to be your focus. Not negativity, because I don't see downsides in these relationships. These relationships have incredible potential for improving the Black community globally, but that comes with looking at it from a positive perspective, and not again, I'm going to a diaspora relationship because I lack in my community. It's not about what you lack; it's about what you could find and what benefits you within these cultures. And I just think, from the way I've looked at it, I think that's a proper perspective.
A woman's DNA does not stick on a man. Mashawn was wrong. A woman's DNA does not stick on a man. We have a thing called a penis, and a penis is an outie. A vagina is an innie. A vagina goes in. In the word vagina is the letters IN. It goes in. And she's called in the Bible a vessel. A vessel is something that holds, which means that, and there's a guy named God that said no fornication. And the reason he said no fornication was not because he didn't want the woman to have fun. He said no fornication because all sex partners are your husband. That's why he said no fornication, because the DNA of a man stays forever in the vagina of a female. The first man gets the oyster, the second man gets the shell, meaning that the first man to impregnate a female has a lock, key, and code on that vagina and on that female's life. And he can, no matter how many baby daddies she have, the proof of it is that first baby daddy can always come back and get in her mind. And in the DNA are chemical messengers.
It's called an
Yes,
imprint.
sir. Yes, sir. And the female, the sperm and the DNA of that man has chemical messengers that swim up to her brain and control her thinking. It does not. This is why God said man is the head and woman submit. And this is why modern Black females, under the tutelage of the satanic white man, hate the word submission. He has taught her to hate the word submission. When a Black female goes to a white man's college, what he does to her is he stitches onto her a psychological, socioeconomic penis onto her. This is why white women go to college to find a man. Black females go to college to become a man. We have been ruined as a people, and we are in the rebuilding stage. And unless and until you realize slavery is not over with, Article 1, Section 2, Paragraph 3 calls us 60% of a human being right now. And a dog is 80% of a human being. That's why we're considered less than dogs and treated as less than dogs in America. And unless and until you come from that and correctly define the problem, you will never be able to even think about a solution. And this is how we have to think.
Now,
And it sounds like
let me
you're saying
talk about
women are not
Samson. Hold up,
redeemable. I don't
because I
understand.
want to.
Hold on.
I want to respond. I want to respond to what he said.
You can, but I had to.
I want to respond to what he said real quick.
No, Michelle, we got Black Lion on. He's been waiting.
Okay.
Black Lion, and I want to
Because I
make
gotta
sure
respond.
or say have something to say. If not, we'll pass it to you, Michelle. Go ahead, Black Lion.
Hey, yeah, I've been in the conversation, and you guys, I agree with a lot of points, especially with that last brother Elijah for what he was saying. And the thing is, regardless we like it or not, the truth is the truth. And the sad part is, like for America's one thing we got to understand I'll say the African American community. I don't know like Liberia and other African countries, but mostly in that African American community, like where we're at. In my opinion, from what I've been seeing, what I've been researching, with that black demographics and everything, a lot of us, a lot of us are not really, we're not ready for marriage at all. And the sad part is, I noticed especially after what Karen Sals and Mishraz Ali been talking about, it got me thinking the 54% of black men Karen Sals mentioned, a lot of us are singles and childless and middle class, etc. Okay. And a lot of them can't find, and when they do reach the upper echelons of life, we can't find a decent wife in America. And I've been hearing lots of black men, even on social media, about the same type of issues. When you talk about marrying outside the country. And when it comes to that is, in my personal opinion, I think our best option for as nation building is, in my opinion, I don't think it's not going to be in America. It's not. One thing I have to agree with Mr. Hustle Smart when he was on the panel, he said a lot of us as a community in America, we're doomed. And one thing what Mr. Elijah said, I want to add to that, a lot of us are so far gone in our own community, especially the women. They're so far gone. They're damn near, they're pretty much, it's impossible to refix the mind. Because one thing Kevin Samuels did call out, like he said, like one thing he did talk about the women, when he said, who raised you to think this way? Who raised you to be an independent woman? Who raised you to not be a wife? Who told you this? Who raised you? Why do you get this mindset? Why can other women coaches think this way, but you're thinking the opposite? And one thing he called the toxic motherhood that a lot of us are too uncomfortable to talk about because a lot of people in our community are more pro, big mama. It's just the feminism mentality has protected black women, regardless of if they're decent or dysfunctional, that it's still that we still protect that kind of form of corruption in our community. And when Shiraz Ali was attacking the 80s for calling out these kind of issues within her book that we all need to get, and the fact that a lot of black men did get her book recently, and they said the same issues that are happening back in the 80s are still happening to this day, that kind of tells the future of the black community as a whole in America. I'm saying. So, in my opinion, I think for the decent black men, not Pookies and Ray Rays, I think the majority of us, in my opinion, the best for the majority of decent black men is to get another black family in another country, because at this point, they're not going to change. And one thing, my mother, I was talking to her about these issues, and she started noticing back in her days, like, I understand why. She said, I understand why black men are having a hard time dating. I see why black men have a hard time, why they'd rather date out the race. She said, I used to be against black men dating, but so now I see why. And she has 6 sons, which I'm one of them. It's like, I see what y'all going through. And she knows how a lot of women in our age, like I'm 28, a lot of women in our age range, they're not going to change. And since we don't have a culture of accountability, it's damn near like being a dead horse. So this is why our best options. We're like, and she's like, I think it's better for you guys, honestly, to date black women from the Caribbean, South America, or the continent. Because one thing about the women in this community here, they don't want a stable lifestyle. There are too. She's like, there are too brainwashed and they're too far gone to respect the black man here. And
they rather have weave and fake hair than a man.
They have, dude. That's nothing. Sadly, that's nothing. They'd rather have a woman who dressed like a man, act like a man, than have a real man. That's That's how bad it is. Even my mom had to admit to that when she asked me one time, why you never date a black woman? Why'd you like black women? And I told her, it's not that I don't hate them, but look how they dress, look how they act. When I'm around other cultures, I'm not saying all of them are perfect. They all have some bad apples too. But look how they respect themselves. Look how they carry themselves. Look at them. It took my mom a couple of years to accept that reality when she started seeing it. And then when she started meeting some females from the continent, like when she wants a job or go to work or anything, she's noticed a big psychological mental difference. I'm not saying they're perfect, but at least their mindset is in the right place, because like a lot of guys said, they value family. And
at least we have a chance. We have a chance with foreign women. We don't have a chance with our females.
Exactly.
Let's do this. Go ahead, Black Line. You got 20 more seconds. I'm passing to Michonne, and then we're going to start closing out. I know if Dr. Echols or Saye wants to say anything. Go ahead.
Yes.
Go ahead, Black Line.
Let me finish this real quick. Yes. So it's time for black men, ultimately the decent ones, of course. It's time for us to get uncomfortable, and it's time to think outside the box. If you really want a black family, if you really, in your heart of hearts, really want one, you're going to have to be uncomfortable. You're going to have to get out into the outer world, out this country, and start nation building somewhere else. And the thing is, this is going to be the harsh reality for a lot of us in the long run, because we can't fix what's already broken. It's time for us to be our own man and be the best man we can be outside. That's it.
Okay. All right, Michonne, go ahead, Michonne. I forgot two Nigers here. I forgot all about two Nigers. But go ahead.
I need to troll you before you let me speak.
I forgot you, John.
Come on.
I forgot you were there. Go ahead, Michonne, and two Nigers.
Well, as an ADOS women, we know how to survive in this country. We have fought in many wars, and we're still fighting battles for our men and our children to survive. So for anyone to say, you have to go outside of ADOS to find a feminine woman, that's not true, because we are feminine and we are beautiful.
You hadn't fought for us. You've been fighting us. You've had 10,000 abortions a day.
Hold up. That's not true.
Abortions
it depends.
A day. You've had
everybody doesn't. Hold up. Let me talk. See how you over talking me?
Abortions.
Do you see how you over talking me? Everybody is not the same. Everybody is not the same, and I don't believe in abortions. But what I wanted to
only woman.
Hold
You're
up.
not the only woman in America.
I wanted to respond to something, Elijah. I wanted to respond to something that you had said too about us being a receiver and how men are the givers and women DNA do not attach to men's DNA because they have a penis and an outie. So you said I was wrong. That's not true, because I want to tell you, when they see, hold up, when I'm talking about nation building, that's where I come from. Nation building and the people, I'm a freedom fighter. So it depends on which type of where you coming from. But what I wanted to tell you is, if you know the story of Samson and Delilah, some men have sold their countries and nation now for a piece of pussy. So don't tell me that it doesn't matter.
That's a different subject.
Female and feminism influence kings. Okay. Yes, they could turn around. They could change your mind. Okay. Just like a man has influence on a female. So you're wrong in that division, because they get those spirits when they sleep around. Those spirits do attaches onto a man too.
They come with that spirit. They come with a spirit called what's that spirit called? A spirit of lust. They already bring that spirit with them. They don't need a female to attach nothing
Africans that sold out their damn culture for a piece of white pussy. Let's talk about it.
No, they sold it. No, that's not true. They sold out the country for the dollar. For the dollar. Because the pussy can't buy the mansions and castle. Pussy cannot buy a
There is control, my brother. Okay?
I know what it is. I've lived in 6 African countries.
I've lived in 6. Their resources.
I've lived
Don't
in
you
6.
know the enemy will
Lived in 6
send
African
an
countries. How many have you
infiltrator
lived
through a
in?
woman?
How
Don't
many
you know the
how many
enemy will
African?
send an infiltrator through a woman? Why? Because the woman has influence, she has a piece of pussy, and she has a spirit. Bottom line.
Blah, blah, blah.
Pussy does
Okay,
not.
all right.
Pussy is not.
Elijah, I got to pass it to Nigel. I got to pass it to
Yeah,
Go ahead, Nigel. Then we got to close out. Go ahead, Nigel.
Linus, it looks like I have to troll you now to let me in, especially when the ladies are in the house. But it's all right. It's all good. Greetings to Dr. Echols and Saye and the other. I think Ibarra is saying that it's a shame she's left. She's saying some of the most fundamental things that people need to understand about this. For me, anyway, a misalignment with the way relationships are carried out in the West, and that misalignment is happening on the continent too. And I don't understand why people are so reluctant to see polygamy as a way out. Polygamy at least offers structure than fornicating, as Elijah said. And what is going on right now is that this relationship between the diaspora and the continent, I think, is a very, very important one that could help stop the drift, because the drift is towards the way the Brazilians describe it, the whitening of the race or something like that. So it will stop that drift for one. And clearly the African continent, like Dinah's documentary indicates, is the future. The population is growing in that region, and it will help restore that traditional values that will maybe enable the stabilization of the African American community to all other parts of the diaspora. So these things are very, very important. And even on the continent right now, what is going on now on the continent, there's also a misalignment going on the continent. And the reason for that misalignment is because some of the continentals too are taking on Western attitudes towards family and procreation. And that's why you see in Nigeria now, the northern part of Nigeria has twice the birth rate of the south. And I actually said it to them that you have to be prepared that all your hard work will be inherited by the ones that are having more children. You can't eat your cake and expect to have it. You want to have fun, but the ones that are going to inherit all your hard work are going to be the ones that are procreating. And if you don't want to do the hard work of tolerating polygamy, everything involves hardship. You have to work, you have to tell the boss, you have to do all those things, have one child. Yes, you still have some hardships there. If you want to have a larger family that builds on the genetic, this in heritage and the future, then you have a larger family, because in the end, that's the direction that those ones are going, and they are the ones that are going to inherit all the hard work. And I think if the diaspora connects back to the continent, it will enrich the diaspora further, just like it's enriching the ones on the continent too. So there is no conflict there. See, I came on this panel and I wanted to say that this was one of the most brilliant panel I've ever heard, because everybody was saying a lot of things until when I came on, then everything went south. But somehow Elijah took everything the other direction. So, but I am, from my point of view.
Don't blame
me,
bro.
Come on, man. I'm just saying what I see. I'm not going to try to sugarcoat it.
Well,
I know you can take it. I know you can take it. I know you can take it. So leave it.
No, I'm not taking no insult, brother.
It's not an insult when you are saying stuff that is just completely this thing out of line, really. And you're quoting from the Bible, for crying out loud.
I didn't say nothing out of line. Oh, God is out of line?
You are quoting from the Bible and using it to describe things that are not. Pseudoscience.
How's that out of line?
See, what they are saying is pseudoscience. Most of the other speakers,
I don't have a pseudoscience.
Can we leave that now?
Hey,
let me just leave that. I'm just saying.
No. You niggas can't come over here and dominate America. You done messed up Africa.
I'm not dominating anything. I barely came on. Come on.
All right. One mic.
You just finish with Sean. Let me finish saying what I'm saying here.
Y'all done messed up Africa. Now you coming over here with that madness.
I don't know what I messed up.
The man is already here in America. I mean, go ahead, Nigel. Go ahead.
So yeah, on the continent too, I think what people have to understand is that when they hear that women are a little bit more conservative on the continent, it doesn't mean they don't have a say. Those people have the power, and then the men have to follow through on what the women want. I've seen cases where the women come home and say, this guy spoke badly to me, you have to do something about it. The men go and do something that will wreck their lives. So the women have a lot of power because some of the things that the culture also gives them that power. They have certain things that gives them the privilege. Not that they're just there sitting there taking everything the men do to them. Have you seen Nigerian women being that they kind of calm? They are not very calm people. They don't take rubbish. So that's the picture I would like you guys to get, because from the discussion, it almost as if that they have to submit to the men, and it's like there's no benefit to it. There's a lot of benefit to it too. The men have to do their bit. They have to do things that the Western men don't even care about doing. They just walk away. But the African man will, sit there and take a hit for something that the Western man will not do at all. So I just thought I should just add that balance. So that should be it, really.
All right, we're gonna go ahead and close out. Dr. Echols and Miss Carey, if you guys got any last words, go ahead.
Okay, my last words are, again, there's a lot to unpack in this conversation. We've had a long panel. Most of us, especially Prince Donis, your audience tends to be Pan-African. African diasporan relationships, in my assessment, are the ultimate expression of Pan-Africanism. It's the ultimate example of being able to go to the culture that you're originally from, to reconnect to your roots, and to build families with the potential of building and rebuilding nations. These relationships are the future. They're continuing to increase, not without some difficulty. Our success in these relationships are going to depend on us being able to adapt, us being able to reintegrate to these cultures, us being able to find the matches that work for us. And if we are able to do that, I think that the global Black community is going to benefit from it. So I will kind of conclude with, again, pointing out my book, African Diaspora Relationships. The purpose of that book was to give these relationships the positive spotlight I think they so richly deserve, to explore it in every possible way, answer every possible question that you may have, and to teach you how to be successful in these relationships if you're interested in it. And that's why I want the panel and all your viewers to know, if you want to be successful in these relationships, this is a great resource. Also, channels like this one, there's Facebook groups. Talk to as many people as you know in these relationships. Learn as much as you can about these cultures so you could be more successful.
Hey, Dinas, can I ask Dr. Nichols a question? I know you're trying to close out, but I want to ask an important question for Dr. Nichols.
Okay, go ahead.
Echols, yes. Yeah.
Echols. I mean, my apologies. Okay.
No problem.
Dr. Echols, have you ever worked at any universities in Chicago?
No, I haven't. I'm originally from Chicago. I left Chicago many, many years ago, just short of 20. For the past 20 or so years, I've been in New York.
Okay, and so you said New York, and
New
what
York,
type of as a doctor, what area?
My specialty is human behavior, with a specific focus on Black families, fatherhood, family functioning, and of course intercultural relationships. What I've classified African diaspora relationships between African Caribbean, African American, Afro Latino is my area of focus.
Thank you, Dinah. Thank you, Dr. Echols.
Can I ask a question too?
Great.
Yeah, no, Miss Carey has to go, so we're gonna close out tonight.
I do as well.
All right, go ahead, Miss Carey.
All right, thank you again for having me on this panel, and this panel was very great. And again, regarding to whatever relationship you are, marriage you are trying to pursue, There's good and bad in all of it. However, explore what you like most best and what might be more compatible for you. And again, the purpose is to bridge the gap between Africans and African descendants, seeing how we are in commonalities with each other. And I have written and published a book called Hidden Commonalities, Identifying the Cultural Similarities of Africans and African Descendants, seeing how we're in common, and also getting into, and if you're interested in getting into that relationship, seeing those commonalities, that's also will help in that marriage or relationship. And again, thank you, everybody.
Yeah, I think this question is quite important. Can I just ask it? I
All
want
right.
to ask
Yeah,
what
needs
is
to be
the
it needs to be a question, not a whole
yeah, it's a question.
statement.
I'm not making a statement. I just spoke once.
Okay.
Come
Ask
on.
a question. Go ahead. Go ahead.
The question is, Doctor, what is the ultimate objective of your support of this approach? Is it limited to just happy families, or increased population and happy families, or what is your what's the ultimate goal of this in terms of the benefits?
Okay, so I also have to go, but I will answer the question. That's an excellent question, uh, uh, brother. To Naja, your screenshot is small, so I'm hoping I'm saying your name correct. My ultimate goal is to give Black people more options for relationships that work for them. And I feel that the African diaspora has everything that we need as a people. So to increase our selection pool, that's the diaspora. I started the program off by pointing out that there's no shortage in the African diaspora. Over 1 billion people in Africa, 170 million in the diaspora, including roughly 47 million in the United States. Everything we are looking for in partners, everything we're looking for in community can be found in the African diaspora. That's my ultimate goal, for us to have better options for family and marriage. And within these relationships, you also have collaborations across cultures, across countries happening organically as a natural byproduct of these relationships. I see it as a win-win.
Okay, I'll leave it at that since I don't have more room. It's all right.
Yeah. Thank you, too, Nigel.
Thank you.
Ms. Carey, put your book in the so people can see your book again. People are asking in the chat room. There you go. So, guys, go on Amazon, I guess.
SayeCarey.com, Amazon,
Okay,
and Barnes
SayeCarey.com.
and Noble.
Okay, so SayeCarey.com. Okay, first name, last name.com, you guys. Everyone, thank you so much for joining. Like, share, subscribe. Until next time, family, Dynasty, search for Uru. Peace.
Thank you.
Thank you.